All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get things started. If you have not yet done so, please introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know your name, where you're calling in from, and one thing that you would like to learn from tonight's panel event series. My name is Aitan Salahi. I'm founder and executive director of the Planetary Health Collective. We have been hosting these panel series on a monthly basis for a little over a year now, and it's just been a really awesome opportunity for members of our community to connect with leaders in sustainability and nutrition like the ones you're going to be meeting tonight, and get an idea of how you can integrate sustainability into your career. So we're going to chat a little bit tonight about some norms and etiquette on the call. Then I'll share a little bit about the Planetary Health Collective, just in case you are new to us, even though I do see a couple of familiar names in the participant list today. And we're also going to then transition over to Bretta, who is going to be moderating our event tonight. So she has prepared a handful of questions that we are going to discuss with our panelists. And then throughout the entirety of the event, you'll all have an opportunity to send your questions directly into the chat. So we highly encourage that. We'd like to keep this as casual and comfortable as possible, while still respecting each other's time and using the chat feature to collect questions. So as you have like moments of inspiration, if somebody says something that's really inspiring to you, feel free to pop it into the chat and let us know. And as questions come up, send them in so that we can get you connected with our panelists and get some wisdom spread. And lastly, we'll close out with some opportunities to get involved with the Planetary Health Collective. So let's jump right into our norms and etiquette. So first, if you have not yet done so, please go ahead and mute your line. This is just to help us make sure that we keep to schedule, respect your time, respect our panelists' time. And if you do have anything that you do want to share, again, those reflections and questions, you can direct those straight into the chat. And then again, introduce yourself there. Let us know your name, where you're calling in from, and something that you are excited to learn about during tonight's chat. As always, this is a safe, diverse, and identity-affirming space, and we practice respect here. So any form of hate speech will result in removal from the call, and I know that will not be a problem for anybody in this community. And again, just go ahead and participate. Let us know what comes up for you, and we want to keep this interactive. If you do at any point during the event feel inclined to donate, we are 100% volunteer-based organization, so your donations mean a lot to us and help us to create events like this and keep them going for all of you. So if you did want to donate, you can head over to our Eventbrite page and you can donate via a ticket for tonight's event or for any other future events of ours. So we are the Planetary Health Collective, and if you're new to us, we are a movement of passionate food and nutrition professionals who aim to mitigate climate change and nourish human health by leveraging our roles and proximity to the food system and to patients and consumers in the process. Our ultimate mission is to connect with community members like you and activate, incubate, and elevate our leadership potential in the fight for a more climate resilient future. And our vision is to provide opportunities for more training and engagement so that we can each identify what our unique skills are that we can bring into the fight for more sustainability in the food system. So we educate, incubate, and activate potential leaders in the field. One of our biggest goals is to provide education opportunities on how we can connect the dots between seemingly disconnected parts of food, nutrition, climate, and health. And that means connecting the dots between food, climate, labor, racial, and health justice. We also welcome members of all experience levels. So if you are passionate about sustainability but you don't have a background in it, for example, if you're new to this kind of work, we welcome you with open arms, and we're so happy that you're here. And just know that we are a space where we hope to foster your skills, your passions, and get creative about how we can bring you into this work, because you are important and we need you. And lastly, we take action alongside of our allies so that we can work intersectionally towards more systemic change in food and climate at all levels. So that's who we are hosting tonight's event. Meet our panelists. Tonight, we're going to be joined by Sarah El-Nakib, Patrice Savory, and Despina Veraclas may be joining us. She is in Greece right now, and there's a big time difference. So we're going to see if she's going to make it. If not, that's okay. And I'm going to pass it over to Bretta, who is going to introduce them all to you.
Awesome. And it looks like Despina did join. So we've got everyone here today. So happy to have you guys. Um, Perfect. Well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker. First, we have Dr. Sarah El-Nakib. Dr. Sarah El-Nakib is an educator and assistant professor of the Department of Family and Community Health Sciences at Rutgers Cooperative Extension and a research associate for the the New Jersey Healthy Kids Initiative. Her research focuses on the use of policy, systems, and environmental approaches to promote child health, equity, and environmental stewardship, primarily in school and community settings. So with that, Sarah, please take it away and share your story with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for all those who are spending time with us today. So like was mentioned, my name is Sarah El-Nakib, and I work for Rutgers Cooperative Extension. So some folks don't know what that is, and so I'm going to explain it a little bit. Rutgers Cooperative Extension is the outreach arm of Rutgers University, which is a land-grant state university in the state of New Jersey. And so there's actually a cooperative extension in every county all across the country. And it's a great place to work in this area because there's a lot of transformation happening in cooperative extension now. So I actually started my career as an undergrad. I was actually in the pharmacy school, and I switched over to nutrition because I decided I couldn't live in a lab for the rest of my life, and I like to talk to people. And so I went into nutrition to really support and help people, make sustainable changes to their diet so that they can, live longer and happier lives. And I was in a program that was very clinical, and so after my dietetic internship, I went into a clinical, small community hospital in Newark, New Jersey. And it was a very small community hospital. So we usually saw like the sickest of the sick, right? Folks who were kind of unable to attend the bigger hospital down the street. A lot of homeless folks, a lot of folks who kind of had little healthcare access. And so the folks, so because of that experience, I was a new dietitian. I was, bent on changing the world, right? Improving people's lives. And it just felt really kind of hopeless when I was a clinical dietitian in this small community hospital. Because no matter what I did, and no matter my best efforts, the patient's best efforts, there was something that just wasn't working, right? And so we'd come up with SMART goals. We'd kind of work together to decide how we're going to make changes to the person's diet, and time again they'd come in and and have more complications, and oftentimes it was chronic diseases like diabetes, right, where people would come in with like high blood sugars that would lead to infection, that would lead to a toe amputation and then a foot amputation. And so it became really disheartening as a young dietitian working in that area. And so I did a lot of soul searching. And at the time, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation had been publishing a lot on the social determinants of health and looking at health from a holistic perspective. And so I decided to go back and pursue my master's in public health. And my master's in public health really gave me an understanding of root causes and the opportunity to think about, okay, what about, this interaction with this person is not working, right? It's not their intention, it's not their interest in change, it's actually the system or the environment in which they live. And so that really pushed me towards working on like this policy systems and environmental level to really support healthy behavior change. And so I, one thing led to another. I ended up in cooperative extension, even though I didn't know much about it before finding myself in cooperative extension for my career. And there was in cooperative extension, there's like three main departments. So there's agriculture and natural resources, and those are the folks that help farmers and community gardeners and master gardeners with horticulture and agricultural issues. And then there's 4-H youth development, And then there's additionally our department, which is Family Consumer Sciences or Family and Community Health Sciences at Rutgers. And so there was a lot of interest in kind of looking at how we can help people like live healthier lives. But everyone was working kind of in their own silos, right? So the ag folks were just working with farmers, the 4-H folks were just working with youth and young people. And our department kind of worked across the spectrum, but mainly for, people with chronic diseases. And so one thing, being in the office with people from different, who have different perspectives and serve different audiences, I found myself really interested in agriculture and kind of, I learned about, the food waste issue, both, in the farm, but also, realizing that there was a lot of food waste happening at the consumer level. And
Would you be able to get that, sweetie? Okay.
Yeah, so having learned a lot about food waste, there was an interest in connecting the dots, right? So I worked in communities that can barely find food, and in some places that would be considered almost like food swamps, right, where there's a lot of fast food, and a lot of options that are not very healthy. And at the same time, you have places, a few miles away, 10, 20 miles away, that are just plowing over their produce because, they don't have enough labor to pick it or whatever the reasons were. And so really trying to connect the dots and looking at things holistically, really kind of changed the trajectory of my career. And so I never thought I'd be a dietitian or a registered dietitian working on food waste issues, but somehow because of this holistic view of health and nutrition being part of the food system, and looking at the food system as a whole, I found myself looking at like food security programs and food waste programs and excess food programs, to try to figure out how to connect the dots and really support people who needed to get access to the food and wanted to get access to healthy food, but just didn't have the ability, it's not affordable, or any of those things to really connect them to the places where there was excess food. And so that's been a lot of the work that I'm currently doing in schools and in the community. I'm also part of a group called the New Jersey Food Democracy Collaborative, which is a collaborative that was, grassroots, developed by a colleague from Stockton University, that really supported looking at, the food system as a whole and really breaking these silos and bringing people together. And so bringing folks who are like from the urban, ag community, Black and brown farmers or urban farmers who are, working in Newark, creating community farms, or Patterson creating community farms, with bigger, more traditional farmers that had family farms for generations, with consumers, and not just any consumers, but like corporate consumers, right? Like hospital systems and school systems like Rutgers and things like that. And people who are on SNAP-Ed and SNAP and WIC, and learning about their experiences. And so the Food Democracy Collaborative is like an opportunity for all of those folks to get together, to kind of be at the same table and really look at what are the, what are the issues, what are the assumptions we're making. We actually had the Secretary of Ag in New Jersey, Secretary Fisher, attend, a meeting, and he mentioned to me in a follow-up meeting that it was, it was the first time he heard some of these experiences of folks, right? And so really collaboration across disciplines and across silos, and allowing people who have lived experience to come in and speak as experts of their lives was really something that I think changed a lot of the way we work and a lot of the things we did. And so with the New Jersey Food Democracy Collaborative, we're now looking at a system where we're developing, food policy councils across the state of New Jersey, to see if we can develop local action plans that can impact state-wide efforts. And so it's something that we're really excited about the opportunity, and there's definitely going to be a need for more, folks who are interested in food systems. Not, it could be nutrition folks, but it could be other folks who are interested in food systems, resilience and transformation. So I'll hand it back to Bretta, and we'll answer questions, I think, later, correct?
Yes, we'll do questions at the end. So thank you so much, Sarah. That's fantastic. Your job seems so interesting, and I think we have a lot to learn and a lot of questions. Perfect. And next up, we have Patrice Savory. And Patrice is most inspired by the intersection of food, sustainability, wellness, and culture. She holds a master's degree in food studies along with a degree in culinary arts. Patrice has taught at various institutions on sustainable food systems and mindfulness, and she is looking forward to continuing to explore the connection between mindfulness and sustainability and sharing that with others. So I will hand it over to Patrice to tell us her story.
Hi, thank you so much, and happy summer solstice, everyone. So I'm going to start off with saying that I am a person who gravitates towards change. I seek it out. And so I have done many pivots over the course of my career. But for the last 20 years, I've dedicated myself to the food industry in many different capacities, which I won't go into tonight. I just really want to talk a little bit about what I've been thinking about lately, what I've been doing. As it was already mentioned, that I'm really interested at this intersection of food, sustainability, wellness, and culture. And I've been teaching on all of these topics since 2011. Unlike the other panelists today, I don't have a nutrition degree. I'm not a registered dietitian. I have my master's in food studies. And so with that degree, I'm able to look at through the lens of food and examine food systems, social economics, politics, nutrition, culture, and public health. And really, I used to tell my students, there's not one topic that I can't somehow relate to food. I also have that culinary arts degree, and I was really fortunate that my culinary school focused on sustainability. So marrying my two degrees has really made me fairly proficient as a food educator. So for 7 years, I taught at Bastyr University in Seattle. It's a school of natural medicine, and I was a professor in the nutrition department. They have a culinary nutrition program that emphasizes a holistic approach to nutrition using whole foods ingredients with a focus on sustainable food systems and how they are aligned with health. I taught a range of cooking courses in the Prize Kitchen at Bastyr University, where we sourced all the ingredients for the kitchen were sourced from local areas, whether it's farmers or stores or purveyors or vendors, certainly using all organic ingredients, minimally processed, and some of the produce was even from the garden that the university had. I also taught, in addition to all these array of cooking classes, which I'm happy to talk about later, I taught food service management and food and culture, nutrition life cycle courses I'm sure that many of you are familiar with already. And I often would bridge the kitchen with these classes to enhance experiential learning outside the classroom. So cooking has always been really, really important to me for my entire life. I really believe that the kitchen is the heart of the home, and that to be well, you need to cook well. And it's a way that we nurture ourselves and others, where what we choose to eat in part impacts our lives as well as the planet, the health of the planet. And so I think collectively what and how we eat is really, really, truly significant. So as while I was teaching all these classes at Bastyr, I began to recognize the power of cooking. Mentoring my students, I saw how they were connecting with food and each other in a really deep way. That was intentional, it was educational, it was therapeutic sometimes, and it impacted their lives far beyond that kitchen classroom. So I just wanted to share a few of the practices that I used in the kitchen, and it might be helpful for you and your home kitchens as well as perhaps in some of your kitchen labs. Some of the key things that I emphasized were treating your kitchen as a temple. It's the heart of the home, it's a sacred space for nourishment, treasure it, keep it clean and tidy. It also, by having a tidy kitchen, can also impart clarity and focus and calmness. And clean as you go. We all sometimes get in the weeds in the kitchen sometimes, but try and avoid that disarray and revel in those moments when you are cleaning at the end, washing the dishes, wiping down the counters. Engage your senses in the kitchen. Tap into what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you hear, what you touch. Honor those ingredients. Consider the labor behind your food, what it took to produce that food, who cultivated it, who harvested, who transported it. Treat your ingredients well and with the respect that they deserve. If you're eating animals, for example, and animal protein products, those animals sacrifice their lives to make food for us, and they deserve to be having that respect, even to the end when you're cooking the meat. Pay careful attention to your plants as well. Align yourself with seasonality, with your ingredients. This is really a strong way to keep that connection with nature. And above all else, as was already mentioned, please don't waste food. I'm here in Oregon, but Washington State also composts. So we have a strong compost program in our cities and also in our schools and in the kitchens that we are working in, which is really makes things very convenient for us. The fourth thing I'd like to impart for you is to experience the vibration. Food is, is energy, and ideally we want to eat vibrant, nutrient-dense, sustainable foods that nourish our bodies. But cooking also involves an emotional energy. And in fact, there are many cultures that believe that your thoughts and your feelings and your intentions are infused in the foods that you're preparing. So cook with love and gratitude and kindness. There's a quote that I love that said, the kitchen is for dancing. And so tap into some of that joy as well in your kitchen. And all of these good vibrations will only enhance your food and your eating experience. Another tip that I just have is savor your ingredients. We eat with our eyes first. So take in that beauty of the food that's on your plate and breathe in the aromas, and then eat, relishing the flavors and the textures in your mouth. Also slowly and savor each bite and really get, it's a sensual experience. It's a pleasure. Eating can be for some people a very pleasurable experience. And the last thing is to gather at the table. A shared table is definitely a desired experience. It's where we make social connections. We may have memories of traditional family gatherings. When we're communing with others, we're sharing good food, and it's nourishment for the soul, not only for our bodies. And expressing praise or gratitude for the meal on the table is also a good practice. With these 6 key items that I emphasized in my classes, I realized that they were all part of a mindful practice, and that being in the kitchen was a better way to build a consciousness around food, as well as encouraging one's food literacy. So as I mentioned when I started, that I'm a person that likes change. And as much as I loved my job at Bastyr, I left to take some time off to travel and to think about what I wanted to do next with my career. Just before the pandemic started, I began teaching online classes at Rio Salado College. They have a sustainable food systems program. It is a community college, but the courses really dive deep into food systems and food sustainability, and I highly recommend it if that's something that you're interested in. In addition, I have been exploring mindful cooking and ways I can further incorporate it into my work. I am in the midst of finishing up a mindful teaching certification course, and I also designed a 6-week mindful cooking practice that weaves meditation, cooking, food sustainability, and wellness. And I had the opportunity to test the course out with a group of students at Oregon State University last summer, and they've invited me back. So I'm really looking forward to doing that again. And really, now that the pandemic has somewhat subsided, it's not over yet, but I have finally ready to branch out and start looking for full-time work and new opportunities out there. And I just want to conclude my talk just by saying that, we are really at an incredible moment, an incredible time for a lot of change. our systems are, many of our systems, as you know, are broken, and our food system is broken. And so I think this is just a perfect time for all of you guys out there to blaze new trails in your field of nutrition and to seek new ways and new approaches of how you want to practice it. We are a nation of many cultures and many different traditions and beliefs and health practices. And I just want to end by saying that let your work reflect some of these traditions and some of these differences, because we all deserve access to good food, and to that nourishes our health as well as nourishing our planet. And really, the quote I just want to end with from the famous gastronome Brillat Savarin said, "The destiny of nations depends on nourishing themselves." Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patrice. I'm so excited for us to dive in to all your work as we go on tonight. So thank you so much. Great. Well, now we have Despina, and hold on, let me get switched back over. I lost power just a second ago, so recouping things a little bit. But tonight we have Despina Varaclass, and Despina is a freelancer, a health educator, clinical dietitian, and international speaker. She has a degree in nutrition and dietetics and psychology, as well as supplementary classes. Pardon me, as well as supplement classes in religious studies from Arizona State University in the United States. Her real pathos lies in patient education and patient approach, with the main focus on chronic disease. She put together her own patient approach system, what she calls work with yourself, work with your patient approach. Its aim, a more patient-centered care, or to put simply, better health care. So love all of that. And Despina, please take it away and share your journey with us.
Okay, can you hear me? Am I okay, or?
Yep, we can hear you great. And you're good to go and to share your slides.
All right. Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. And I really feel humbled being among people who have careers in sustainability, unlike me. You know, when I first got the invitation, I was like, what? What do I have to say? But anyway, I guess I belong to the group of people who do not have their career in sustainability, but are willing to do a lot toward that. So, and maybe I speak more on behalf of people who are probably, you know, sitting in an office or working in a hospital, or, you know, having their own business, but are very keen to do a lot in the field of sustainability. Now, as you said, I am a clinical dietitian. I am a psychologist. I studied in the US. I worked in Europe, Asia, Africa, US. So my experience and knowledge is sort of in the global arena. And basically, I have an online business. And my business is sort of an umbrella for a few things and projects that I am doing. I have my online one-to-one consultation office. I am an international public speaker, and I also do workshops for healthcare professionals, teaching them how to have more productive meetings with their patients. And I do that by using the WIP approach, which is a theory I put together a few years back, and I'm very proud to say that it has quite a bit of success. Since I'm in Greece, I'm showing you this slide. This is where I should be now, but anyway. The reason I am here today is to talk to you about my YouTube channel. Now, first of all, I want to say that even though my whole career is not in sustainability, and I'm focusing more on a patient approach. I grew up in a home where both my parents were very conscious about healthy eating. And healthy eating is something that has a different definition in different parts of the world. But I declare that I'm very much in love with nature. So, and I think more so my dad is the person who sort of planted this in me, let's say. Now, he was an educated man, but this is where he felt happy most. When he was in our orchards and he was among the orange trees and olive trees, and he was next to his bees, he loved his bees. So, and he passed on to me something very, very important. He taught me how to see the greatness in the simple. And I think that this is very important. And this is what nature is all about. Because, you know, we may be seeing simple things like flowers and leaves and colors, you know, a small flower or a fruit. So what, you know, these are just oranges or lemons, or herbs that create a beautiful view. But behind that, there are these very dedicated workers, the tiny little insects that do so much, you know, or small birds, or, you know, just plants, or even the sun and the water and the moon that simply put this whole thing together so gracefully and so majestically. And just to have this beautiful thing, nature, which is our natural environment, ready for us humans. Wow. I mean, and especially for us dietitians, to me, by definition, the profession is something that makes us, or, you know, we simply have to be advocates of nature. Unfortunately, I've seen different things of that, but either way. Anyway, so now as a nutrition consultant, nutrition consultation has changed through the years. I remember in the old days, you know, we used to talk about, you know, food and food habits and behavior toward food, etc. Then things changed and we were talking about ingredients. I mean, a gazillion items in the grocery store. People don't know what to pick anymore. And what's the difference between each and the next? And there's low fat and there's high fat. And then it was the fortified with vitamins, fortified with calcium and I don't know, minerals. And then it was substitutes. No, now sugar is substituted with something else. And then we came down to the superfoods. And we've sort of managed to make things so complex for ourselves instead of seeing the nobleness of the simplicity of just what's there. And personally, I felt I was choking in all of this. And I was thinking, no, I need to be an advocate of nature. Okay, so, and this is where in 2017, I decided to publish my e-magazine, the How To of Nutrition and Health, which spoke in general about, you know, health and nutrition. And basically the purpose was to support especially small producers who were very keen to stick to the goodness of the soil, the goodness in nature, and to bring producers, consumers together, or producers from different parts of the world together. But unfortunately, sponsorship was too slow, as I say. So I put that on hold. I don't know if I'm going to publish it again. I'm still thinking about it. And then I steered my attention to YouTube, and I started putting together my YouTube channel. And last year, I uploaded my first video. Now, this is my YouTube channel. It's called Straight from Nature. And the purpose of this video channel is to provide a video library of the different products of nature. So as you see, you know, these are the last videos, the coffee and chestnut, and edible flowers, olives, dates, and every video is on a different food item. And I remember years ago, I was looking up, you know, I was trying to find some information on ginger. And I had to go through 10 articles and 15 videos and just to find out the information that I need. And I thought to myself, now this whole thing needs to be in one place. And this is what these videos provide. Where does every product grow? How does it grow? How does it reach us? How does it look like? Does it come in different varieties? What is the nutritional value of that product? What makes it special? And very important, how to include it in our lives. And I'm not talking about recipes because there are a gazillion recipes on YouTube, but very, very simple ways on how to include these items in our nutrition. And that I think is very important, especially for younger people today, because we live in a fast era and we live in an era where a lot of people just don't have a good relation with the kitchen. So if I'm a dietitian and I need to suggest something to somebody, I think an easy way to include it is a very good piece of information. So I hope that you know, it's a useful project and it's a useful channel down the road. It's still small. The first episode was on honey, a tribute to my late father. And then, you know, other items like cinnamon and onions and edible flowers. These are my photos, very proud of that. And together with the YouTube channel, there is a page on Pinterest with all beautiful photos of the different products. And there's also a Facebook group for discussions and comments. And under every video, there is the link to that. So I think that is something with a lot of potential. So far, it's still small. It has a little bit over 1,000 subscribers. The views are great. The comments are lovely. And I'm very grateful to ICDA, the International Confederation for Dietetic Associations, for granting me a grant, a small grant, which would be very helpful for promoting the channel. I'm very glad they find it worthy of that. So hopefully, you know, I'm contributing positively to the whole system of sustainability and appreciation for nature.
Amazing.
This is a beautiful Santorini. Since I'm in Greece, I'm showing you this. And these are, you know, this is my website where you can find links to all that. It's simple. It's my name, despinavarakos.com. So that's that. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
right.
you so much, Despina. We will jump into Q&A. So I'll have all our speakers go ahead and turn their cameras back on. And give me 1 second to get you all spotlighted.
Trying to.
Spotlight. Perfect. And amazing. Patrice, would you mind turning your camera back on? Thank you. Amazing. Okay, awesome. And then Despina, if you want to go ahead and do stop share, that'd be great.
Okay, I'm trying to do, okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. There we go. Now we can all see each other's faces.
All right.
Awesome. So I do have some great questions for you guys. And for the audience, please feel free to send any questions in that you have, whether they're questions about everyone's presentations, or if you have follow-up questions to the questions that we're going to ask now, please feel free to send those in via the chat. So to get started, I'm going to start with the hardest, easy question, but I would just love a quick day in your life. And we'll go ahead and start with Despina, just because you're already unmuted. So can you give us a quick rundown of a day in your life?
A day in my life, my God, you know, from the time that I turned my office online, you know, and I can work from basically anywhere. Don't think that doesn't mean that you have to stick to a schedule. Definitely, it's I don't know, it's hectic. I think just the last year I was able to work, you know, specific hours. Before that, it was endless hours of work trying to build my online office. I definitely have to, I work a lot on my computer. Everything is basically through my computer. But I also have my everyday life errands. So it's basically from 9:30 until 6 in the afternoon. Those are the general hours. But I feel very, very free having my online business. It gives me a lot of freedom to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. But at the same time, I put a lot of hours of work in it. So
yeah, that's
happy
typically
hours of work. Happy hours
yeah.
of work. But yeah, this is I'm basically in front of a computer most of the time.
I definitely feel that too. Sarah, do you want to go ahead and share with us what a normal day in your life and cooperative extension looks like?
Sure. So I think something I love about this job is that you're kind of with people wherever that is. And so my day can look very different throughout the week. But generally speaking, I try to be out in the field for at least 2 to 3 days a week. And out in the field can mean different things. I could be in food policy council meetings, you know, because of COVID, things have moved online, but for the most part, we're meeting back in person. It could be, you know, I have a lot of late nights because oftentimes we need to meet people where they are. And so, you know, working, you know, during times that people aren't working, that's usually when, you know, sometimes I'm working. And so, you know, you adjust your life accordingly. But so there's a lot of, you know, late nights where I'm in community groups or resident advisory boards, or, you know, wherever it is to talk to people and learn about their issues. I love the days where I can be in community gardens and walk around and kind of meet, you know, community advocates and help, you know, figure out how to support them. And then we have a lot of grants. And so, you know, there's a grant management perspective to a lot of the work we're doing where, you know, we're trying to connect the university folks to the community folks and making sure that people have an equal, you know, voice at the table. And so sometimes it's, you know, just connecting those things and reading lots of articles and reports. So there's no typical day is basically the answer. It's varies, right? But it's a lot of work outside of the, you know, office and a lot of work inside of the office. And because it's, you know, passion project or passion work, you feel like you're not really working, you're just kind of meeting people and enjoying your time with them, which is a huge blessing, I think, in the work we do.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's exciting that, you know, people have that flexibility. I've been seeing some people who are looking for, you know, some jobs in nutrition and sustainability where it's not just, you know, that desk job and sitting there all day. So fantastic. Thanks for sharing. Patrice, how about you? What give us a little rundown of a day in your life?
Well, my life is a little different for everyone in that I'm not working part-time, full-time, but my work at Rio Salado College, it's part of the Maricopa Community College system in the Phoenix, Arizona area. I'm in Portland, but I teach 4 courses and for in their sustainable food system program, and the courses are ongoing. You can sign up every Monday. So I may have 20 students. I have 4 classes, so I can have it'll vary, and so everyone's in a different week at a time in the course, and I'm just the facilitator and the guide as they're going through the curriculum and imparting what information I can help them as they go through it. So just keeping up with that and mentoring students and supporting them on their journeys through these classes. And then as I'd mentioned, I've been working a lot with my meditation teaching certification and thinking about curriculum and courses. And so I already did that 1 course last summer, and I'm about to do it this summer. So just gathering what I want to focus on for this summer right now. So it's really just some creative work, working on recipes and thinking about the season, and it will be in August. And so what's available in Oregon at that time. Thinking about what from a mindful focus and where, what we want to do this year. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys are all doing such different and such interesting work. So I think we have a great variety here for everyone. And you guys all have varying degrees of education. And that's a really common question that we get a lot is, do I need to seek out advanced degrees? Do I need to seek out additional education in food systems or nutrition and sustainability? And, people are wondering about that because there is a cost associated with that. So I'm just wondering what your guys' perspectives are with your varying degrees that we have across the board here on if you felt like that was a value for you, if you feel like it's necessary for people seeking out to do this work, that they have an advanced degree or specific education in this area. And I'll just kind of run back up the line. And Patrice, if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, so my track is a little bit different, and in some ways it's been a little challenging too, because a lot of people aren't familiar with what the heck is food study.
Yeah.
And people are more familiar with talking about food and from a nutrition standpoint, certainly maybe from a production standpoint as well, and then a culinary arts one. Sustainability is a new field now. I mean, there are degrees for it, but a lot of people who are in it are learning from the trenches. So I recommend right now looking for ways to learn about sustainability and incorporating it into the degree that you already have. You're right, food education, additional education is so expensive, but I know for the nutrition field, you do need a master's working in a clinical, from a clinical standpoint. But I think if you're interested in sustainability, these kind of groups and meetings and options for education in that regard is a little more accessible.
Definitely. Thanks for your perspective on that. Sarah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so for cooperative extension, you don't need a PhD, even though it's a university position. And not all cooperative extensions have faculty, but in our case at Rutgers, we are faculty, and you don't need a PhD. You do need a master's to be a faculty member, but we have folks working from like staff with bachelor's degrees all the way up to PhDs. And I think everyone brings their perspective, right? And I think it's really, really important to kind of recognize that, you don't have to be an expert in this field. Like kind of Patrice was saying, this is kind of a new area, and so there's not a lot of kind of work in this area that you can tap into. And so I think really forging your own path. So even though my background is in nutrition, my master's and my PhD were in public health and not in environmental health. It was really like health education and behavior change. But I found myself in doing the sustainability work through partnering with folks like in agriculture and natural resources. And so really like kind of being willing to go a little bit outside of your field and admitting you're a novice, right? I always tell folks, I'm like, I am not an environmental expert by any means, right? I'm not a food waste expert by any means. I just kind of stumbled into this field and I absolutely love it. And so I think there's kind of these opportunities for informal education, not necessarily like a degree, but like, kind of entrepreneurship or like working with folks that have that experience and learning from them. But yeah, so I mean, it can vary, and sure, having a degree can help, but also that hands-on experience and field work is really, really important.
Great. Thank you so much. That's incredibly helpful for our audience. And Despina, what are your thoughts on additional education and what we can do?
Well, listening to this, I always am very inspired by people who do things that they have a passion for. This is extremely important because when you know what your passion is and where your passion lies and you go for that, there's always automatically the aspect of ethics going with it. And when you start something that you haven't done before, you know that, first of all, you need to know what you're talking about. You're not just, selling whatever. And you know how to go around and get the knowledge and the information. So every time I begin a project, like when I started the YouTube channel or the magazine, or when I, started putting together my theory on patient education, it's things that I haven't done before. And every time I'm like, okay, I knew nothing about this. Where do I start? And my passion for it just gave me the drive to go and find the information. I didn't think for a second that I need an extra degree in order to do it. I just knew that I had to do it right. I had to get the right information, whatever it took for me to get the knowledge and do it, I had to do it. So, every time I'm thinking, oh, I know nothing of this, I know nothing of that. And I'm thinking at the end, do I know anything? But anyway, as we grow older, the aspect of experience and knowledge come together, and that brings a really nice result in what we do. So if you need an extra degree on something, especially in the US, there is such easy access to good education. You can just register in a college or go easily and get a course and do something. So that makes it a lot easier to actually do what you want to do. And otherwise, you can get guidance from people who have done things before you. And today with the internet, there's so many like free classes on things. So it's just a matter of time and will and how much you really want to do what you want to do. Don't go into things just because they are trendy or because somebody said there's money in it or whatever. Go with what your heart is telling you to go. This would be my advice.
Yeah, I love that. Follow your passion and really start there. I think that's something a lot of people could leverage. Thank you so much. Sarah, a question that I have is, well, you mentioned connecting some of the dots. When you like kind of zoom out and you take that systems approach to things and you're looking at that and you're connecting these dots and you're like, well, all of these things are missing that's helping people eat healthy, eat healthier, or promoting a sustainable intersectional food system. What's your next step for going to actually to absolve those barriers?
Yeah, I think it's partnerships, right? Like, I think that's the thing. Like food insecurity specifically is a multifaceted issue. It has to do with living wage, housing prices, rent prices, right? Like it's like such a big issue that looking at it from a nutrition perspective alone will not do anything, won't fix the problem, right? And so really kind of bringing to light the fact, the impacts that the food insecurity can have on a family, right? Kind of elevating the voices of the folks that need it, and bringing it to the table where it needs to be heard. I think that's where we can really play a role. It's just almost like a facilitation role, right? Like we don't need to solve the problem. We just need to make sure that the problem is highlighted, and we need to make sure that the resources are being allocated to the right places. And that's where I see like the strength of a food policy council is because it's multi-sector, right? You usually have in really good food policy councils, you have people from the city, people from economic development and the city planning authority, and people that you don't think of that have to do with food, but they all have to do with food because we all have to do, all of these sectors have to do with food. And so the idea is like getting them all at the table and agreeing to kind of a roadmap or a blueprint or whatever, right? Priorities, a food action plan, and working your way towards like some measurable change. I think that's really, the way to do it, because unfortunately, I know like this was me, right? Coming out of college, I was like, I want to change the world. I want to fix everything, right? But nutrition alone can't fix it. It has to be a real collaborative approach. And this type of change takes a long time. So you have to be patient and really like work consistently, even if you don't see the impact straight away, and that's sometimes disheartening for folks, but it really is really important because that's the only way real substantive change can happen, right? We're undoing systems that have been there for over 300 years, right? So like we really have to be, give each other some slack. And I'm saying this even though I barely do that, right? But I think it's something that I have to constantly remind myself.
Yeah, no, that's so helpful. I mean, people, kind of that networking aspect, going out and finding the groups that are doing the work, and whether or not you're directly volunteering or like working with them, but a lot of times people don't know where people are already doing the work, and so if you can be that bridge to connect people, that's incredibly helpful. And I'm constantly trying to get people to join their local food policy councils. I don't know if I've been successful yet, but I keep throwing it out there. So
Johns Hopkins has a really good directory of all the food policy councils, and especially post-COVID, there are a lot of like emergency food coalitions, and trying to get those folks to think about, okay, that's not the root cause of hunger, right? Let's work at the root cause of hunger and push them towards food policy councils. I think could be really powerful if we all do it together and at the same time. So hopefully, join your food policy council for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I know we're coming up on our time here. I do have one more question for Patrice and Despina. So if you guys can hang around for one more minute or so, I would love to get these answered if you don't mind.
No problem.
Okay, perfect. Patrice, we had a question asking if you can share how you use culinary classes to connect the dots between food, climate, agriculture, health, and energy. It resonates with a lot with what we do here, and I think our audience has been really inspired by that.
So my classes are a little different in that it's not, a lot of cooking classes are entertaining, and I'm not that person. I mean, I can be entertaining for sure, but and a lot of the classes that I've taught, let's say at Bastyr, for example, it would be an hour lecture. So if it was, for example, the week that we're focusing on, there's certain topics every week. So if it was the meat week, for example, I would go deep dive into all aspects and issues about meat, about the nutrition components and how it's raised and how it can be sustainable and its impact on climate change. And then we would go in the kitchen and prepare a meal that we would also incorporate, learn how to cook a beautiful grass-fed piece of beef, but it would be, talking about small portions. There would, a 16-ounce steak would feed, 4 to 5 people or so. And just, there would be more vegetables on the plate per se. And so if I'm just doing a culinary class, I always allow time for some of the conversations to make those connections, to talk about where that food came from, how it was produced, how it's aligned with what we're doing today and putting it on the plate. And always at the end of my cooking classes, there's time to sit down together as a group and to eat and enjoy the meal.
Amazing. I love that. Just to kind of riff off of that aligns a lot with one of our events that we have coming up called Cook for the Climate, which, we'd love for everyone to join if you can. But yeah, that is amazing. And I think, we're looking at people who are doing that already and helping share that with the broader PHC community. So very exciting, the work that you're doing and what you're putting out there. Thank you. All right. And Despina, you have a lot, you've done a lot of these really big projects. And so oftentimes we'll have people come in and say, I really want like, this is what my passion is, but I don't know how I can turn that into a career, or I don't know how I can, make this my life, because what I'm doing doesn't fulfill me, and I want to work in something that I'm passionate in. And do you have any advice for people who might be feeling like that, and certain on maybe how they can be courageous or creative in taking those steps?
Yeah, I think the basic thing that you think about when you're thinking of something is, what am I doing it for? I mean, I want to start a project. Why? And usually the answer is that you want to make a difference. You want to make a difference in other people's lives, or you want to fix something. And I think this would be a good drive, a good direction to go. When I started any project, it's like I want to make a difference in other people's lives. This may sound like really huge, but usually, each and every one of us would put like a small piece of the puzzle, a small piece of the whole picture. So the whole picture is to make a difference in the world, to make a difference in other people's lives. But my project is like one little piece in this whole picture. Never be afraid to talk big about what you're doing. It may sound simple. I mean, I'm listening to Patrice and I'm listening to Sarah, and there is a lot of love in what they're doing, definitely. And this is what gives us the comfort that we're on the right track. This is what don't be afraid to just start doing it. Just do it, and then don't think of all the steps, because you start a project and then other paths start to appear your way, and things grow in a way that you never really expected. And when you do things with love and passion, you are inspirational. You inspire other people without even realizing it. And this draws people to you. Everybody wants to help. Oh, you can do this, you can do that. And, things start to grow without you even noticing. So just, go for it and do your best and never be scared. Don't be scared. Stop.
I love that. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of yeah.
Sorry, by the other two speakers, and I'm listening to Patrice as well, and I'm thinking, okay, now I'm in Greece and I'm in the land of good food. So, whenever you need anything, just please give me a buzz. And I don't know what it is, cookbooks or recipes or whatever, because this is a country where a lot of the people are, as I said at the beginning, good food is something that has a different definition in different parts of the world. Mm-hmm. So in this country now, since I'm in Athens at this moment, many, many people know how to plant. They know how to have a garden. There's still a lot of generations that have eaten untouched crops and foods. They know the difference. So it's very interesting. Everybody sort of knows what is good food. And, in contrast with other parts of the world where there are, cases where people have never seen an apple tree or an orange tree. So it's very interesting. And yes, I definitely do agree that we need to know how to cook in order to appreciate food.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for sharing your expertise and your wisdom with us. I'm incredibly inspired after tonight. And I think there's just so many different avenues for, people to explore within this like intersection between health, nutrition, and sustainability. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close out. I know I-10 probably has some words to leave you all with, so I will just, let her take it away and close us out for tonight. Have a great night, everyone.
Oh, we will be super brief. Okay, everybody, can you see my screen? The Planetary Health Collective slide? Unmute and just continue. Yep. Okay, awesome. So as we're closing out here, I just want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight. This event was so personally inspiring for me. I love to hear the many different ways that we can work in this space to connect the dots between food, health, and climate. This is exactly, conversations like this are exactly why the PHC exists, because we all have the same mission, the same ethos, the same goals, and we're going about them in such different and inspiring and creative ways. So I want to thank our panelists for joining us here tonight, for our participants for joining us and sharing your energy and sharing your questions. If you would like to get more involved with the Planetary Health Collective, please join us at www.planetaryhealthcollective.org. Get on our email list, and we also have a form on our page where you can reach out to let us know you'd be interested in volunteering on one of our leadership teams. We're always looking for more volunteers, and if you've not yet done so, please also join our Facebook group. We're constantly sharing really fantastic resources there. And that you can find us at Planetary Health Collective on Facebook if you just do a quick search, and follow us on Instagram. We're at Planetary Health Collective on Instagram, and we look forward to connecting with all of you on a deeper level and at an event. As Bretta briefly mentioned, we also have a brand new event. Our first one for the Cook for the Climate series is coming up this Friday. We're going to be learning how to make Navajo blue corn mush with Danae Bex. She's an incredible public health registered dietitian from the Navajo Reservation in Arizona. She's going to be telling us all about Navajo traditions around growing blue corn, spiritual significance of it, how to eat it, and some ways that we as food and nutrition professionals can be more inclusive in our approach and aware and sensitive to Indigenous representation in our care and in our nutrition education. So join us. It's a donation-based event, and 100% of the proceeds will be going towards a community-based Navajo event with Danae and one of her colleagues at BD Baby Foods. So please join us this Friday for that. And I want to thank you all again so much for being here, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold up. Okay, we're good.
Okay, we're good. Okay, do you want to end the recording?
Yes.
Okay.